The United States just onboarded a new class of lender to its balance sheet, and they aren't central banks, commercial banks, or traditional institutions. They're stablecoins. In its April 30th quarterly presentation, the Treasury Borrowing Advisory Committee, or TBAC, officially recognized stablecoins as structural buyers of U.S. government debt. This isn't theory anymore, it's happening. As of today, the global stablecoin market cap is around $242 billion. And over $120 billion of that reserve backing is parked in ultra-short treasuries, 93-day T-bills, overnight repos, and government money market funds. But the projection is where things get serious. If stablecoins hit a $2 trillion market cap by 2030, as expected, reserve requirements, particularly under legislation like the Genius Act, would force $900 billion in programmatic demand for T-bills. That would make stablecoins one of the largest systematic buyers of short-term U.S. debt, rivaling sovereigns like Japan or China, but doing so without any political friction, just code and compliance. Now, let's take a look under the hood. Tether, the largest stablecoin issuer, held $94.47 billion in treasury bills as of December 31st, 2024. That's more than sovereign nations like Australia or Italy. It makes Tether the 23rd largest holder of U.S. treasuries globally, except you won't find them in tick data because Tether isn't a country, it's a financial protocol. And that's just one issuer. Circle, who runs USDT, holds a majority of its reserves in a dedicated BlackRock managed fund filled with, you guessed it, short duration treasuries and repos. Together, these issuers form a new demand side, one that doesn't toggle yield preferences or fear duration, but one that buys automatically, perpetually, and structurally. Now, let's add Wall Street into the mix. BlackRock's BUIDL fund, a tokenized money market fund, pulled in $240 million in its first week. Franklin Templeton's Benji is already live, representing shares in their 40 Act government fund. These funds hold the same collateral as stablecoins, T-bills, repos, and deposits, but cater to institutional investors hungry for dollar liquidity and yield without ever leaving the digitally native ecosystem. The TBAC refers to this as a convergence, where payment stablecoins, digital MMFs, and cash collateral pools merge into one singular programmatic demand engine for treasuries. And now the stage is set for the next phase. Let's talk about Bitcoin. So over 1.2 million BTC is now held by US-based spot ETFs, making them the largest known holders in the world. You have Strategy issuing Bitcoin-backed convertibles that are consistently oversubscribed, and Metaplanet issuing corporate debt in Japanese capital markets in order to buy Bitcoin. And sovereigns are rumored to be holding hundreds of thousands of BTC. Obviously, you have the UAE, and China and the United States are roughly neck and neck with their 200K holdings, and Russia's rumored to not be far behind either. Bitcoin is no longer speculative, it's strategic collateral. So here's the question. If stablecoins are anchoring the short end of the US Treasury curve, and tokenized MMFs are handling the middle, why not tap Bitcoin to cover the long end? And that's where BitBonds come in. BitBonds are a Bitcoin collateralized, dollar-denominated U.S. sovereign bond introduced by Andrew Hans of New Market Capital. Here's how it would work. The U.S. Treasury would issue BitBonds nominated in dollars. The Bitcoin would be custodied in a collaborative multi-sig setup. Bitcoin holders would allocate capital without having to sell their BTC and then get dollar yield in return. And the Treasury gets guaranteed demand from a new cohort of allocators. This wouldn't just be innovative, it would be necessary. In 2025 alone, the U.S. must roll over $6.15 trillion in Treasury bills and $2.34 trillion in notes and bonds. At today's interest rates, that's $343.7 billion in annual interest expense, even before a single new dollar of debt is issued or the auction calendar is raised. Thankfully, rates are coming down, so this won't be a problem, but foreign central banks like China and the UK are stepping back, and demand is fragmenting. Stablecoins have filled the gap at the front end, tokenized money market funds are soaking up the middle of the curve, and BitBonds could unlock long-duration capital from a class that doesn't care about credit ratings, but does care about collateral integrity. And here's the kicker. The Treasury doesn't need to start from scratch. The playbook already exists. Strategy proved the model, Metaplanet replicated it, and dozens of public and private institutions are lining up to raise debt using Bitcoin as a base layer. Now imagine if the sovereign issuer of the world reserve currency did it next. Because in a world of sovereign debt, it's no longer about who offers the safest yield, it's about who offers the strongest collateral. And for a new generation of allocators, Bitcoin is the benchmark for integrity. The stablecoin foundation is already laid, digital native money market funds are already building the walls, and now it's time to raise the roof. BitBonds aren't just the next step, they may be the only step that keeps the US debt market structurally sound for the next cycle. That's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and follow and share this around so that everybody can see it. And of course, check out Theia. It's the world's best Bitcoin self-custody solution. You can check it out at theia.us or by scanning the QR code right there. That's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.